Hi, I'm Steve Love of Love's Restaurant and Love's Hospitality in Birmingham. The paring knife itself is very well balanced. It's a heavy knife, or heavier than a normal paring knife. The blade's slightly longer, but it's so sharp. It's just unbelievable to use it, and it's the precision of cutting which every chef needs. Knife skills are the basics of cooking. If you haven't got the basics of cooking right, then you're not going to proceed and do well. And it's, I've always said, one of my head chefs, my first head chefs told me, he said, it's about building firm foundations. And it's like building a house. If you haven't got firm foundations in a house, it collapses around you. And exactly the same thing in everything you do in life. If you don't have those basics and the basic skills, and I think it's something that is slightly lacking today. The right knife is important. It's about the blade and how sharp it is. If you haven't got a sharp blade, then you're going to bruise the rhubarb. It'll discolour when it's cooking, and yeah, it went widely peeling it down as well. It's just you just need a sharp knife, and that's the paring knife I'm using today is spot on. It's a rhubarb pudding, so it's a bit like a sticky toffee, but it's got rhubarb through it. So we make the sponge, we make the sauce with the rhubarb flavourings into it. That gets then soaked into the sponge after it's cooked. It's got a little bit of ginger going through it as well to give a little bit of spice and a little bit of heat. We've got the rhubarb on the plate, which is just pared down, and then we backpack that down and just cook that in a little bit of syrup which we've made from the skin, and that together with a gingerbread ice cream. The Roux Scholarship for me was a life-changing experience. Before, I was working in some really good hotels, some really good, a really good level and a really good standard, but I'd never set foot in anything that had got a Michelin star to eat or to even to work. And so winning the Roux Scholarship was just phenomenal. It opened so many doors, and it allowed me to go and work in France. I went to Untitled Chapter in Paris, and what I saw was just phenomenal. It was nothing I wouldn't have never been able to have done that off my own back, I don't think, without the backing of the Roux. It's one of these things, if you don't enter it, you can't win it. And that's what I've said to everybody. It's a massive life-changing experience, and you end up being, you are part of the Roux family. And they'll say that themselves, and it's great to have that backing as well. Anybody looking to enter the Roux Scholarship, obviously it goes through the stages. You've got the paper judging. You need to make sure that that's legible, and if you pick up most books, you can see the format of how a recipe is done from the list of ingredients, maybe a small picture, the method, and how you would serve the final dish, because visually people judging it aren't going to see it, so they've got to form their own opinion in their own head of how they perceive this, how you want your dish to be actually executed. And if it's not written out properly and you can't actually read it properly, then you're going to be confused, and that's one thing that's going to be in your favour in the first place, because one of the hardest things is to get through the paper judging. Then it's down to you when you get to the semi-finals, and then you've got to produce your dish, plus the mystery basket for the desserts, which is no easy task either. And it's having the basic skills to do your dessert, and to produce a decent dessert. It can be the touching point or the tipping point between you going through and not. And then you get to the finals, and you're given the dish. You're on the same level as everybody else, as in they're not going to know what the dish is either. And it's always a toughie. It's not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. But then it's a competition that's worth winning. So if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth winning. The ultimate chocolate dessert would be the chocolate tart, which is a recipe which I gained from working with Untitled Chapter in Paris, and I've never tasted chocolate tart like it. It's phenomenal. And again, it's just serving it with something special. We've done it before with a prune and Armagnac ice cream and like a hazelnut mousse, and it's to die for. It's phenomenal.